the pre-rut is ramping up throughout much of the whitetails range. The pre-rut is when there's just enough does receptive to get the bucks all moving and spending a lot of time seeking, but not so many does receptive that bucks and does are paired up and they're not moving as much. Bucks are using more of their home range. They're not just in a little corner where it's food cover, food cover. They're spending a lot of time on their feet, and research has shown they actually travel more yards or more distance per day, but not necessarily in areas they don't go. They're gonna stay within their home range. Knowing that they're moving more and not just on a food cover pattern, that means that pinch points, bottlenecks, travel corridors are all great places. Now, it's primarily archery season except for the deep south during the pre-rut. So that's one reason we like these pinch points and bottlenecks or the limited resource, so we can be within bow range of the deer. Knowing that deer are moving more, it's a great time to stay in the stand a bit longer. Maybe instead of getting out at 10, you're getting down at 11 or going in an hour earlier. It's not that beneficial to hunt all day this time of year, or really any time of year. I know that hurts a few people's feelings, but research, trail cameras, whatever, show us that, yeah, occasionally a big buck's moving in the middle of the day. That's certainly true. But the odds are, strong, 95% plus that most of the movement is in the morning and in the late afternoon. So where do we find these pinch points and bottlenecks this time of year? Well, that may be where a river makes a big bend or two ag fields come together and there's a narrow stretch of woods in between. Here at the Proving Grounds and throughout much of the whitetails range, most of the shows are filmed in ag country, to be candid, but the bulk of whitetail hunters are in timber country where there's not big ag fields to create those bottlenecks. There's a pretty big drought going on throughout much of the Midwest and even some of the South right now. So water sources could be a bottleneck. That's certainly true here. We're seeing a lot of bucks at ponds or water sources. You may have some ponds in your area if it's very dry that could be 100 yards off a buck's normal travel route. On either side, that pond may pull deer from a quarter mile each way and make a bottleneck right to that source of water. And added to that, there's acorns on the ground now throughout much of the whitetails range. Acorns are very dry, and when deer are eating acorns, they likely need to consume more water. And on that more water consumption, again, they're moving more, they're walking more steps. So when you're more active, you need more water. So there's several reasons why hunting a water source right now, especially in the timber, small water source, can be a really productive stand location. Does are going to food sources, so travel routes to food sources can be a really good place, not necessarily the food source itself. Those bucks are wanting to date really bad. They're not as concerned about food resources, and we know that bucks lose about 30% of their body weight during the pre-rut and rut combined. That's big. That takes a 200-pound deer to 140 pounds after the rut. They're obviously not eating as much and moving more. In fact, I call that the rut diet. Walk more every day, consume fewer calories, and you will lose weight. Well, deer are losing weight, especially bucks right now, and so they're not going to those primary food sources a lot. Hidey-ho food plots where they can stop and get a bite, scent check for does. Scrapes are another really important thing during the pre-rut. And again, scrapes are most active right up until a point when there's so many does that are receptive that bucks are just going trying to catch scent instead of checking on scrapes.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, PH Outdoors, Moultrie Mobile, Steel, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, Fourth Arrow, Soil Pro Outdoors, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
I'm sure all hunters know how important and refined a deer's ability to smell is to their survival. Well, the same is true to their reproductive strategy. So you can also use that to your advantage from a hunting location. Bucks will often travel downwind of areas, maybe the pond or the food source, scent checking for receptive does. And if I have options of where to place my stand, it's going to be on a downwind side, not just for me, just so a deer doesn't detect me, but they're going to travel on that downwind side often, scent checking for receptive does. They can cover so many more acres with their nose than walking everywhere, checking every few little feet. So keep in mind when you're placing a stand or blind or picking a place to hunt, maybe you're hunting from the ground, that you want to be as much downwind as you can, even more than normal right now, because bucks want to scent check as much area as they can to save steps. A deer's really keen ability to smell also plays into our calling strategies. The pre-rut is the best time to use a grunt call or rattle should you choose to do those. But again, they want to be downwind. They don't want to just rush in often. They're going to be on downwind, so be careful calling. If you're in a pond in the middle of a big patch of timber, be really easy. If you don't know where the buck is, that's what we call blind calling. You're just calling hoping the buck's around or within hearing distance for them to come on a downwind side. I most prefer to use rattling or grunt calls when I'm close to the edge of a river, a big ag field, maybe a bluff or something, and it's unlikely that deer are going to swing downwind to detect the source of that call. Now, I'll call when I see a deer, but then again, I'm considering the wind. Don't just see a buck, he's 150 yards, he's out of bow range, and start tooting on your grunt call. Think about where's he at this moment, and how's he likely to approach. It may be better let him go a little bit and then call so he doesn't likely cut your wind stream coming to the source of that call. The last tip I want to share about hunting during the pre-rut is how efficient bucks like to be, especially this time of year. That's always the case, but there's not much willy-nilly right now. They're not just feeding and taking their time. They're going to go from point A to point B with a lot of efficiency, as long as they're not exposing themselves to danger, going places they've been alerted previously in recent times. So ridge tops, benches on the side of a ridge, elevator ridges, you got a big long ridge and then a ridge coming up the side of it. We call that an elevator ridge. Easy pass, because they're covering, again, more distance a day on average. Several GPS studies have shown this, more distance each day than normal, so they need to be efficient. And think about how a deer can travel in the area you're hunting most efficiently. Put all this together. Bottlenecks, pinch points, you're using their nose all the time right now, trying to find a receptive doe, and they want to get there efficiently. Put all that together, and that helps you know exactly where to put that stand or blind or set next to that oak tree. Halloween's coming up, and a lot of y'all may have little kids or a reason to be taken off that day, but if not, it's a great time. That's getting really close to the peak of the pre-rut. And that's a great time to be hunting. It's a benchmark we use, and we've harvested deer, and that Halloween, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, that's a time when we've harvested several deer at the proving grounds, and our friends have harvested deer throughout the Whitetails Range.
You got him.
Let's go.
These strategies are all geared toward hunting during the pre-rut, but the rut follows right after. That change is almost on a dime. So next Monday, we're going to share the strategies we use during the rut. There's several changes. You can fine-tune those strategies, go from pre-rut to rut, and increase your chances of success. I hope these tips help you tag a big buck this year and put a bunch of meat in the freezer. Putting meat in the freezer is just kind of a way of preparing for life, making sure we got plenty of supplies, but the best way to prepare for life is to seek the Creator's will and have a personal relationship with Him. And I hope you all do that daily. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.